What's up everybody, welcome back to No Counters, No Combos, and today I'm going to show you my first deck profile that I chose to make out of the Tournament of Power set. Now, Universe 7 Frieza is running wild right now in the meta, and it's tough to find a hard counter for it because it's so powerful with the ability of discarding a card and drawing two, and then the 7-drop Frieza just basically making it very difficult for you to activate skills, you know, without paying a life, which late game, you know, it could get kind of scary. I just want to shout out real quick, Untap, Upkeep, Draw. He was the one that kind of gave me the inspiration to make this deck. He kind of sent me a list that he had success with, and I made a couple tweaks, you know, not too many tweaks, but I made a couple tweaks here and there to make it more of my play style. But shout out to you, man. Thanks so much. And I wish you continuing success with the deck because it really is strong and it's very slept on and very underrated, but it's very, very powerful. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Yeah, I know your camera is not out of focus or damaged or whatnot. You are seeing Briana de Chateau. She's the leader that we're choosing for this deck build. You know, spoiler alert, it is a heavy Universe 2 build, but we'll get into it. The reason this leader is so good and works and has so much synergy with her own universe is the following. She's a 10k power leader, like every other basic leader in the game. Her auto is that when she attacks a leader, you get to look at up to the top 2 cards of your deck, and you get to add 1 Maiden Squadron to your hand, and then put the other cards at the bottom of your deck. So the reason this is good is because if you don't open up with your combo, you can siphon through your deck and try to add the pieces little by little, and then whatever bad cards that would be considered dead in the early game, you put at the bottom of the deck so that later on you could draw them and they can help support you with your win. Because if you don't get your combo off, you don't win. So you want to make sure you want to maximize the output, and you want to make sure that you can get your combo off because that's your biggest win condition in this deck. You awaken at 4 life. She's one of the unique leaders in the Tournament of Power, being that she doesn't untap 2 when she awakens, she draws 2, which is really, really strong and makes her a good leader. Most of the Universe 7 or most of the Tournament of Power leaders untap 2 energies. She draws 2 cards, which is amazing. And then on the Awaken side, we have Briana, Maiden of Anger. Auto, when you attack, you draw a card. Which is great because you're adding, you know, more hand advantage. But then she has an active main once per turn. If you control Rosie and Kakunsa in your battle area, she gets to blow up a battle card. There's no cost restriction, nothing. So it's like, as long as you have the other 2 maidens in play, you can choose any battle card on the field and destroy it. And that is awesome because when you're playing against Frieza, all you have to do is pay 1 life and you blow it up and you get it off the field. Same thing with the secret rare. If you stop the secret rare Goku from winning, next turn you can just blow him up. Veggies, it's a tougher matchup, but you can blow up the veggies. So it's a very, very good card. Remember, none of those cards have barriers. Frieza doesn't have barrier. Veggies don't have barrier. So, you know, blowing up their cards essentially for free is really, really good. And there's no cost restriction to it. So it makes her very, very powerful. So we're going to get into the deck and we're going to show you what we chose to run to support that leader. So we're going to start off with Zarbudo. We have 4 Zarbudos, okay? The reason Zarbudo is good is because he's a tutor. He looks at the top 3 cards. For Universe 2, that's very important because obviously you're focusing on your Maidens and Maiden Squadron, but Zarbudo can search any Universe 2. So that includes the Maidens and that includes the other Universe 2 cards. So there's a lot of targets in this deck that he can search, you know, in case you have all your maidens and stuff like that. He can search super combos, he can search your free blockers. So he's a very, very good card, and the later the game gets, the better this card gets. Obviously, he's your turn 1 play, but later on in the game, when you've established your board and you're just charging and not playing big expensive threats, you can just, you know, play like 2 or 3 of him in 1 turn and just add cards from your deck to your hand. It's a very, very good card, super underrated. But he is what gets you going and fishes through your deck. He's a very good, efficient turn 1 play. Then we have Virbhadra. I'm playing 4 Virbhadra. Virbhadra is the free blocker of the deck. Basically, he comes out for free if you control a Universe 2 in your battle area, which is very, very good to stop the Goku Blanco, as I've come to call him. Goku Blanco can't really get around blockers, and Universe 7 doesn't play... they really don't play destruction cards. Yeah, they don't play really, like, they don't play anything that pops cards. So, unless they're playing Krillin, but not a lot of them are playing Krillin. I don't know why, but most Universe 7 decks don't play Krillin. So this card's very good because he just sits on board, and if you can survive the 8-drop with critical and triple attack, and they're not going to cast a SCR with a blocker on board, so you're safe. And it makes him very, very good. He's also really good against veggies because it's a blocker. And free blockers are just good in this meta right now because not a lot of the main decks are playing removal. Yeah, veggies are playing removal, so you got to be careful there. But if you can stop their Kabas and stuff like that, and so that they can't drop free KOs, you're good to go. Virbhadra, definitely a must at 4. Then we have the Diva herself, Girl Warrior Briana de Chateau. This card is ridiculous, simply for the fact that it has barrier. It's a 2-drop, 1 green. Look at the top 7 card for a Maiden Squadron. So she can add herself, she can add Rosie Kakunsa, or the big mama Briana. So she doesn't have as many targets as Zarbudo would, but she's very, very good because she still looks at top 7, whereas Zarbudo only looks at top 3. So she's so busted because she has barrier. So you just bring her out, look at the top 7, and she just sits on board, you know, until you're ready to evolve. And your opponent can't do anything about it unless they're playing Jiren, which right now in this format, not a lot of people are playing Jiren. So she just sits there, and whenever you're ready to evolve into Briana, you know, you just evolve into Briana and you start wreaking havoc on your opponent. It's such a good card. They shouldn't have given her barrier, but, you know, they did. Now we're going to get into Vikal, Master of the Sky, which is this Universe 2 super combo. Like a lot of the new super combos, you can use her with 5 energy, or with 5 life, and she gives you 10k in draw cards. So it's really good. You could tutor her with Zarbudo, which is awesome. Searching super combos is always very, very strong. And you just kind of just hoard them in your hand until you're ready to pop off. This deck kind of uses the super combos more as a defense, which is great, because this is like more of a control deck and a mid-range deck. But it's a very good card. It's great because it's searchable, and you know, it's self-explanatory. Using him at 5 life is awesome. So we have that. Next card. This is where my list differs a little bit from untap, upkeep, draw. I chose to run 3 Trickster Ganos. I really wish this card was Universe 2, but it's not. It's Universe 4. But the reason I'm running him is because it's an alternative turn 3 for me. Turn 3 is a big turn in this deck. And playing, like, if I don't want to bring Briana out just yet, because, you know, for reasons unknown, but it gives me an alternative turn 3, and it blows up a card. So when he comes out into play, you get to target 4 or less and destroy it. And so it's 15k, you know, 5k combo. It's a solid card stat wise, but the fact that you can just cast it for 3 energy and then remove a threat on board is really, really good, especially when you're playing against veggies and U7s. Like if they have like combo pieces on board, or if they're trying to set up and play stuff and blow stuff up, you know, you can just drop them. A lot of the U7 lower drops have barrier, like Piccolos and Gohans, but, you know, Gokus don't, Roshis don't, and those are all combo pieces which they're going to need, you know, to combo over certain things. Also against other matchups like veggies, he's really good because you just drop him and you can blow up Kales, you can blow up Kabas, you can blow up Caulifla. So it's a really, really good card. It's slept on, it's underrated. I think 3 is a sweet spot. I tried it at 4, you know, online, but I like 3 better because it just, you know, it's really not too needed. So I run 3. And then this card is Resurfacing. Tien. So Tien is really great because it's this deck's combo into play card. Now, unlike the other ones where they're just 15k bodies, Tien is 2 energy to combo into play. But he comes into play in active mode, and his active main is, it's not once per turn, so you can use it as much as you want. It's basically you take 1 life, you add it to your drop area, and you take another life and add it to your hand, and then you get to destroy any battle card on your opponent's side of the board. This is amazing because you can kill higher drops like that Frieza. Not the 7-drop Frieza, but the 5-drop Frieza before they EX evolve, or the 5-drop Goku before they EX evolve. I mean, technically you can do the 7-drop Frieza, but you're gonna need to take 3 lives because you need to pay 1 for activation for Frieza's effect, and then pay 2 for TN. So if it's worth it, yeah. If you have the life to spare, you might as well want to do that. But if it's late game and you're at 3 life, you're not going to be able to activate it. So Tien is really good because he helps you awaken super early. Depending on what matchup you're in, you want to awaken as early as possible because you want to draw every turn off your leader, and you want to turn on her effect by having the other maidens out. So like if I'm playing U7, like I'll combo this into play on turn 2 instead of playing Brienne, and then just awaken, and then next turn I'll go into my maidens and stuff like that and start going that way. But it's a really good card, and then once you've used 1, you charge the rest. It becomes a snap charge, which is really great. You don't want to hold them in your hand as combos because you have to pay 2 energy for them. But the reason I play 4 is because you want to see him as early as possible, and it doesn't become a dead card because you can charge it if anything. And you also need discard fodder for some cards in the deck as well. So we run 4 TNs, and then the spice of the deck, which I credit this all to untap, upkeep, draw, is 3 Haru Haru. He was playing 4 in his build, but I'm using 3. This card is so good because literally everyone is playing Universe 7s right now, like Universe 7 Frieza, or some type of yellow or green leader. So this card becomes super relevant because you play her, and if your opponent's playing a yellow or a green leader, you untap 4 energies. And then her second auto is you can send up to the top 2 cards from your deck to your grave, which is awesome because you want your maidens in your grave for your transformation. So she helps fuel your yard, and she helps she's a 15k body on board with crit. So that's amazing right now. And I had a situation yesterday where I was playing, and I got 2 of these on board same turn. It was just like, okay, 2 15k crits on board. That's pressure, especially, right now where, hand advantage is so important right now with the Universe 7s and stuff like that, you really can't take the risk of losing cards. So you force your opponent to out combo, and they're dumping cards anyway. So essentially this card is great because it's basically essentially free against a green or a yellow leader. Only one of my matchups yesterday was against the blue leader, so this card was completely useless. I would just throw it down for a charge or keep it as a 5k combo if anything, or discard fodder. But for the most part, everybody's really using yellow and green leaders, so it's a really good card. You guys should look into it. Then we have, for more maidens, we have 4 Rosies. She is a 4-drop 20k. She's a blocker, and she has the auto that when Kakunsa and Briana are on the board, she gets to restand at the end of the turn. Basically, these are your maiden transformation targets. So you have Rosie, and then you also have Kakunsa. Kakunsa's the more aggressive maiden. She's a 4-drop 20k with crit, and when the other 2 maidens are on board, she gets dual attack. So basically you want to do all your damage with Kakunsa, and then you just protect everything with Rosie. So essentially the best thing about them is that they're 0 cost 5k combos. So what I like to do is I like to hoard all of my maidens in my hand until I know I'm going to go off, and then just use them defensively as combo power to not take damage, and then just put them in the yard. Like, I like to hold as many cards in my hand as possible till I know I'm ready. So I have like 10, 15 cards in my hand, and then when I'm ready to go off, I just, put them all in the yard with combos defensively, and then just next turn, just cast a transformation and just play them. But they're really good. Because Kakunsa has dual attack, you can put a lot of pressure on your opponent because she restands. You don't have to attack the second time, so leave her in active mode if you want to protect her next turn. And then Rosie restands at the end of the turn anyway, so worst case scenario, they become combo fodder for defense on next turn, and then you could just bring them out again with another maiden transformation. But you have to play, obviously, these maidens because that's how you get your combo. And then, of course, we're playing for the Big Mama, Briana, because she's dope. This card is ridiculous. It's an evolve for 3 on top of a Brienne. Like, it's disgusting. Like, it's 2 green and 1 random for evolve on Brienne, and when she's evolved, she gets to pop a card on the field, no cost restriction, so she's another card that gets to blow cards up. And then when you have the other 2 maidens in play, when she swings, her auto activates, and you get to take 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. Now, the best part about this is that you don't have to swing at a leader to get her auto. So you can just swing at a battle card if you want to, you know, take stuff off the board and have your opponent rip 2 cards from their hand. This card is super good. It's your win con, essentially, because every turn you're taking 2 cards out of their hand, and it has barrier. So this card cannot be destroyed by any type of removal. Your opponent has to swing over it. So it's just nutty. Like, you just keep big hands, and when they swing over Briana, you just combo out, and they just wasted a whole bunch of cards to try to get her off board, and they completely ignore your leader. This card is such a threat by itself that people literally ignore your leader, which allows you to survive longer, obviously. Briana is such a good card. I'm so glad that they printed it and they gave it a really broken ability. But, you know, what can I say? And then onto the defense here. We're playing 4 Maiden charge. This negate is really good. It's a 1-cost green negate where it's a counterattack. And then if you discard a card, your opponent gets to choose one of their battle cards and KO it. So this is really good for clearing boards. Like if they're only attacking with 1 attacker and it's a problem, you can just negate it and your opponent has to choose that attacker. Like I did it once yesterday to the 8-drop Goku, the one with the triple attack. I negated and he had no choice but to blow him up. This is great to get rid of Jiren, because Jiren is a huge problem because he can attack active battle cards, so he can attack your 2-drop Briana. So you just like negate the Jiren when he's on board by himself and they just blow him up. They have no choice. Card is really good. And you discarding a card doesn't really hurt because you fuel your yard with your other maidens and you always have cards in your hand to pitch. Worst case scenario, you don't have to pitch. It's just a regular 1-cost negate. So this card is really, really good. Especially, the only thing is you have to have Universe 2 leader, which right now there's only one in the game, which is Briana. So, and then this deck's March is Maiden Transformation. Basically, you just play this card and you get to get 2 Maiden Squadrons that cost 4 or less from your drop area to your field. So the main combo is obviously to get Rosie and Kakunsa, but you can also target the 2-drop Briana. She is Maiden Squadron. So if you already have your board established and you already have Briana and Kakunsa and Rosie, you can play Maiden Charge to bring out one of the other, like either Rosie or Kakunsa and then Briana look at the top 7 and add a Maiden to your hand. So you can refill it that way. And then next turn, you can just evolve another Briana on top of that Briana. And now you have 2 Brianas on board, which is it's nutty. There was a point yesterday where I had 2 Brianas on board, a Rosie, a Kakunsa. I had like 2 blockers. Like it gets really, really nutty. But mainly your targets are going to be Rosie and Kakunsa because that's what's going to activate all the other effects from your other battle cards. But this card is a must at 4. And then just some spice. I'm playing 2 King Vegeta Surprise Attack. The reason I'm playing this card is because there's 2 reasons I'm playing this card. Well, 3 I guess technically. I have 2 different blockers in the deck. I have Virbhadra, which is the 2-drop blocker, and then I have Rosie. So your opponent doesn't really see it. You go to block, you play King Vegeta, it becomes Revenge. So they blow up a card. And then the other reason I run this card too is for Briana herself, actually. Like when I swing with the Briana and she's in rest mode next turn, if my opponent wants to try to kill my Briana through battle, I just drop this bad boy on her, make her a revenge blocker, and just make sure I survive the combo. And they just lost the battle card after like putting, because she's 25, so they're gonna have to combo, you know, at least 1 or 2 cards to get, you know, like a regular 3 or 4 drop up to that level of doing damage. And then I just drop this on them and I either combo 1 or 2 cards on top to save her and she becomes a revenge. So it's pretty good, especially with the blockers. Like somebody swings at a Virbhadra, they're not going to expect a King Vegeta Surprise Attack. They just lost a card. I love this card. It's really good and it gets around barrier, which is awesome. And then the last 2 cards I play is to save a hopeful future. This card was really iffy for me last night. It was hit or miss. I didn't really hardcast it or get it off at all. I mean, in theory, I understand why it's in the deck because this is a 4-drop extra card that gets you a Briana from your drop area to your field. So if you lose a Briana and you still have Kakunsa and Rosie on board, you just play this card next turn without having to hardcast a Briana, so it's 1 energy less. and then you just bring out Ribrianne and you start the process all over. So this is essentially 2 more Ribriannes, which is really fantastic, like if you think about it. But this card does become energy a lot of the time, because the way I play is I keep so many cards in my hand, I can protect pretty much any of my battle cards that get attacked. So I don't really have too many Ribriannes in the drop zone. But I'm going to keep this card, because if worst case scenario, it's chargeable green energy, and it's discard fodder for the negates and the other stuff. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's the deck. I mean, do not sleep on Universe 2. It's a very, very, very powerful deck if piloted correctly. It's not going to win you games super fast. It's more of like a control/mid-range deck. But it has a really good matchup against Universe 7, just because they can't afford having cards ripped out of their hand, and they don't play any removal, so they can't deal with your board. And you have enough answers for the Gokus, like if they're playing the Secret Rare, or if they're playing the 8-drop, like critical doesn't hurt you because you want your cards in your drop area to be able to Maiden transformation. So in a way, essentially, like critical doesn't really hurt you too much. And you play enough defensive cards to where you can almost out-combo pretty much anything. And then you play removal, so you can just, you know, even if they get that Emperor Frieza on board, it's just a matter of you next turn just popping it with your leader, as long as you have the requirements on board. So with knowing that, it makes your opponent kind of play your way. So you force your opponent to play into your game, and it kind of gets them away from their strategy, because they're not going to waste all those resources to cast a Frieza or to cast a Goku, knowing it's only going to survive for 1 turn. So you kind of make them a little more hesitant, and you can just control the game that way. Once you get Ribrianne on board, and you get the other Maidens on board, it just becomes a rip fest. You just take cards out of their hand, and Ribrianne it's just so good. You don't even have to attack at leader if you don't want to. You can just swing at a battle card that's in rest mode and rip 2 cards out of her hand, and then just use Kakunsa for crit damage, and it's just nutty. But that's the deck. A shout out again to Untap Upkeep Draw. Thanks for sharing your list, man. I really appreciate it. Good luck to you. Otherwise, you know, this is the deck that I'm running right now. I'm still it's a good deck. You know, I went 3-1 last night at a locals with it, but do I think that I would have the same success at like a regional event? Like I'm like basically like right now, our team is getting ready for the AC event in New Jersey, Atlantic City. So is this a deck that I'm going to take? I really don't think so. But so far, I'm happy with how it performed, and it has a lot of outs to a lot of big things. But I don't know. I think Universe 7 is just the way to go right now, because it's so powerful against so many matchups. So I really don't know. Like, I hate to be one of those people that jumps on the bandwagon, but you know, it is the best deck of the format right now, so I might as well play it, I guess. But I wanted to show you guys this deck because I did have a lot of fun playing it last night. And if you guys are looking into building a Universe 2 deck, definitely by all means, you know, try this list out, make modifications to your liking, and let me know how you guys do with it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell everybody about this channel. We are growing at a very, very good rate, and I just want to continue to grow and continue to reach the community. Otherwise, guys, everything's been great on my end. Thank you so much for the support. We'll see you in the next video. Be there.